A very beautiful good morning to you and welcome back to Urban Marketplace, your first ever shop on radio. Remember, we did it first.
We did it first.
Yeah. Our discussion on the show today will be centered on how to fund your business in Nigeria. This particular topic is one that is very important. You need it, especially if you are yet to go into business or if you are having issues with funding your existing business. So today on the show, I am urging you to stay tuned as we unravel the secrets on how to successfully fund your business here in Nigeria. My name is Chiamake Zapata and with me is...
Tony Adope.
Happy weekend, first and foremost, Mr. Tony.
Same to you.
Okay, all right. Let's get into the conversation. You know, before someone talks about how to fund their business, what's the first thing? Like, there is this first thing that you ought to do. What's the first thing you ought to do before you start talking about
Funding your
raising
business.
funds for your business? Yes.
Well, you have to have an idea. That's the most important thing. You know, you have to have a business idea because without a business idea, you don't have a business, right? But a lot of people get it wrong, and that's why most businesses fail, right? A lot of people want to start a business because somebody started a boutique and then 6 months later they have an SUV parked in front of the boutique and they're like, oh my goodness, this is a good business. I'm going to go into boutique business. So they open up a boutique business, not knowing the secrets of the trade, right? So Nigerians are very copycatish. So they see you open up, a restaurant and they're like, oh, this guy at New Haven is doing very well. I'm going to start my own, right? There's a trade secret to every business, and you must learn that trade secret if you have to get it right. Otherwise, you will be learning on the job, and that's quite expensive.
Okay.
You know, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's established that someone has a business idea well conceptualized and defined. So
right.
What are the available funding options in Nigeria when it comes to funding a business?
Yeah, before I talk about that, I want to give a brief overview. One of the major problems businesses have in Nigeria is access to funding. It's a major problem. I've always insisted that Nigerians are very creative people, right? But the problem is that a lot of times, a lot of these businesses go to die simply because these creative Nigerians don't ever find, funding for their businesses, and a lot of times they die before the business can ever see the light of day, and sometimes they just give up on the dream after trying a while, right? So funding is a major problem, but it's also because many Nigerians don't know how to go about finding the funds or finances they need for their business, right? And so that's why we're doing this topic today on this show. I want to do the bank loan first, right?
Okay.
But before I give you the nitty-gritties of a bank loan, I want to quickly disclaim that the bank loan is the quickest way for a man to die.
Why did you say so? Is that because we don't have that repayment culture in Nigeria?
No, I'll tell you why. It's part of it, but I'll tell you why. It is actually the quickest way for a businessman to die. It's killed many people, right? The reason is that you take a bank loan and you put it in a business that is not properly structured, a business that you didn't do a feasibility study on, you didn't do a business plan. You're just, kind of beating about the bush. There was no defined modus operandi for this business, and you take a bank loan and you put it there, and you lose all that money, right? And then the bank comes after you. Perhaps you put down your house as collateral, and the bank takes the house. That's a quick way for a man to die, and many have died like that. I know a man who's had a double stroke, because it took hundreds of millions of naira from a bank, right? And eventually the project he put it into, he lost it, right? He actually lost the business, right? And he had the first stroke, and the bank took his house and everything, and he had a second stroke. So the man is almost in a vegetative state right now. So I'm saying, I'm giving this disclaimer to let you know that if you're not a disciplined person, bank loans are not for you. If you're a spendthrift, somebody who likes to spend money, the minute you see millions in your account, you forget it's not your money, you begin to buy cars and build houses. A bank loan is not for you. Having said that, a bank loan is very good for a prudent, disciplined businessman, somebody who understands how to handle money, somebody who knows what he's going to do with that money. And bank loans are always good for businesses that have a track record. So say a business you've done for a while, and you know what that business is averaging month on month or year on year, right? Then you can confidently, based on your anticipation of profit that you've proven over a while, not, it doesn't have to be a short period of time, but over a period of time, then you can take a bank loan knowing that if I put 10 million in this business, this is what I'm going to be getting month on month, and then I can afford to pay back the bank. You don't put a bank loan in a business that's not proven, a business that you're not sure, a business that you're going to try, yeah. You don't put a bank loan there, right? But bank loans are very useful. It's a useful way. It's a quick way to get a bank loan. There are disciplined Nigerian businessmen who actually need a breath of fresh air that could come in the form of a bank loan but don't know how to get it. Every time you go to the account, it's similar to what we talked about with the visas.
Yeah.
Remember I said that your account history is important.
It's very important.
For you getting a visa. It's the same thing with a bank loan, right? Now, no bank is going to give you, especially in Nigeria, overseas as possible, but in Nigeria, no bank is going to give you a loan based on just your business idea, right? They want you to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. They want to be sure they're going to get their money back and a return on investment.
Which is actually the right thing to do.
Well,
it's
which is
business.
Well, yeah, it's business, but overseas banks take some level of risk, believing in their customers. Okay. So they will weigh your idea based on the strength of that idea, right? And then judge the future of that business. And based on that, they can actually give you a bank loan to get into that business. Yeah.
But in
sometimes
Nigeria, it's
what's
was applicable there is not applicable here.
Yes, so that's that's the case here.
Okay.
So anyway, so the banks here won't give you a loan without track record. They need you to open an account and then check your average monthly or yearly average, or an average, your average in the last 6 months. It's based on that they actually give you a loan, right? Now, but there's a hack to that, I tell people. Now, for you to qualify for a bank loan, you have to have an account in a major bank, right? So that would be the first thing. And it's usually better a limited liability company, right? And it's also very good for you to not just open a sole proprietorship, even if it's a limited liability company. Don't be the only director in the bank, because the banks have to look at all the risks they're going to run giving you this money. So if you have a limited liability company, but you are the only director in this bank, it's always difficult for the banks to give you money, because if anything happened to you, they'll lose that money, right? Now, but if you had one other or two other directors of the business who could take over the business, say this person, this principal partner gets in an accident and dies, or gets in a vegetative state, right? There will be somebody to continue to run that business and pay back the loan. So it's always good to have other directors in your bank to increase your chance in your company, to increase your chances of getting a visa, a bank loan, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing that you have to do is make sure that you run your account. I said this with the visas, I'm saying it here. Put every money that comes into your hand through your bank. So the first thing will be register that business as a limited liability company, or as a whatever you want to register it as. Register it with the CAC. Get that document, put it down. Go open a bank statement, a bank account in that business name. It's always good in a business name and not in your personal name. Yes, some traders have their businesses in their personal name and they have a track record with the banks. Yes, they get funding, but with limited liability companies, it's easier. So open a limited liability company, open a bank account in that name, and begin to run this account. Be intentional about putting money through. Chiamaka could give me that 10 million she has in her account right now, and then I put it through the account. It doesn't necessarily have to be my money. She's probably asking me, hey, Tony, please could you help me transfer this money to so and so and so. I take that money and I put it through my account and I do the transfer, right? It doesn't matter to the bank. They've seen 10 million go through that account, right? Now, Urban Radio can decide they want to buy some equipment in Lagos, and I'm going to Lagos, and they say, hey, we have a guy who's supplying equipment in Lagos, and since you're going to Lagos, could you pay him a visit and actually verify his company and make payments? Here's 30 million. You put it through that account, right? Now, all this money is traveling through this account, improves your chances, it increases your average, right? So if through 1 year, you put your own money through this bank, your own business money that your business generates through this account. Every other money that comes into your hand, you make sure it's recorded, through this account. It raises your average. So when you walk up to the bank and say, I have this business that I want to do and I need a loan, the bank will say, okay, we're going to get back to us. They'll go back and check your account, check the average, check your history. When they've seen hundreds of lines of transactions in a particular year, and you have a closing balance that is healthy, right? This bank will be convinced that this is our customer, he's regular, he's consistent, and he has a good average, so we can give him a loan, right? Then you can get a bank loan for your business, right?
Okay.
Now, the other part is for you to be disciplined enough to know where to put it and not go spending, knowing that you're going to pay it back. And usually they give you, if it's your first time loan, they will probably give you a 3 months term loan, right? So that is to say that in the next 30 years, you're paying a good sum of that loan with interest back to the bank. So it's structured in such a way that by the third month, you would have paid up all the loans with all the interest accruing to that loan. If it's a 6 months loan, it's the same thing. It's divided, that amount you're taking is the 10 million divided into 10 million plus the interest on that loan and other charges divided into 6 months, right? It's expected by this end of 6 months, you would have actually paid up the loan, right? Now, remember that when you get this loan and all of a sudden you see 10 million in your account, you're like, oh my goodness, let me go and buy a Venza. You take out 2.5 million and buy a Venza. You've reduced the ability of this business to actually prosper, right? Yeah. You've reduced the ability of this business to actually do what it said it was going to do, right? And so this means you're probably going to be in trouble and you would never be able to meet this loan. This is when people lose their homes, right? This is when people lose their homes, and you don't want this happening to you. So that's it. But I want to say this before I go to other ways of getting funding, right? Relax, Chemaka, we need to do this.
No, go ahead. Continue what you were saying.
So I want to say this. There's another way of ensuring that you don't ever default on a loan. And what you do is, if you actually need a loan from the bank and what you need is 5 million, right? Make sure your account, you've done all I said about running that account. But ask the bank to give you 10 million. I'm trying to give you a hack now, right? Ask the bank to give you 10 million. What you actually need is 5 million, but apply for 10, right?
So that by the time, is
what
that
happens,
what I'm thinking? Okay,
I don't know what you're thinking, but what happens is that you need a breather. You need a breather to be able to generate that funds. 30 days is not enough for you to actually run in the business and generate the money to pay back that loan. So you're constantly under pressure. So what you need is 5 million, but you ask for 10. So that you take 5 million and invest it and leave 5 million sitting in your account. So that in the next 30 days, you already have money sitting there to pay the first 30 days. You have money sitting in that account to pay the second 30 days. You have money sitting in that account to pay the next 30 days, which is the 90th day now, which is 3 months, right? Yes. So this allows you to have that money working for you for a complete 6 months, right? Okay. So that you know that when you actually begin to pay with the investment you made is from the 4th month.
Wow. Okay.
Right? So that's a hack that I'm giving you here. I've done that and it works, right? So that's how to not default on a loan. Don't go take 5 million and put it in a business. You don't know what's going to happen. Okay. There's something we call force majeure or something like that in business. Like I made an investment during in the year of the pandemic, in February, in March, the pandemic struck. You weren't anticipating that, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a loan. There was an active loan, right? So if it wasn't for prudence and business, I would have gone down, and a lot of people went down like that. So you have to cover your cover your back so that you don't fault on a bank loan. Maybe we'll take that as a topic on another day, how not to default on a bank loan. So a bank loan is a good way to get quick funds, but you need a lot of discipline to make that work. Now, the other thing is government grants. During the year of the pandemic, there are people in our export community that got grants from the government, right? A lot of people I brought into the export community got grants, like from between 5 million to 50 million. Grants, not a loan. Okay. Right? So there are periodic grants that government give to businesses. And so if you were looking to invest in another business and government gave you 50 million grant, for example, during the pandemic, you would have had money to invest in another business, right? But there are also some times when government have, they announce, projects for businesses and all of that, where they give grants and all of that. So if you hear about any of this, you can apply and get a government grant, So you have to investigate potential grants provided by government agencies or development organizations to support small businesses. So the next one is investors and venture capitals.
What does that mean?
There are people who their job is to invest in businesses and in ventures, right? So they
Okay.
provide funding for businesses. That's how they make their profit. So you bring them a business plan. A business plan is very good. You know, if you have a business idea, you have to put it down on paper, you know, do all the different elements of this business plan and, you know, end it up with the financials. You showed your financial flow, you know, your predictions of the business, your profit predictions and all of that. When you've done that, you're going to an investor and venture capitalist, right? What you need to do is provide them with this document. They will study it and invite you for presentation. When you come to present, you have to convince them by what you say that you know this business and you're sure you're going to make it work, right? So investors and venture capitalists are one way. Then angel investors are the same thing. You can seek support from angel investors who may be willing to invest their personal funds in exchange for equity in your business. So I can be an angel investor, you can be an angel investor, but there are people who are career angel investors. They scout for young people, or it doesn't have to be young people, anybody that has a good business idea, but they're usually individuals, and so they can invest in your business and take 30% or 50% of your business, right? If it's a good business idea, they invest in it, right? Give you the funds, but then they take equity, right? Equity means a part of your business, so that when this business succeeds, they will earn profit from this business in perpetuity, or as arranged by the both of you, as agreed by the both of you. It could be a term, you know, plan that after 6 months or after 5 years, when they've recouped your investment, then they will drop their equity, or they'll just leave the business up for you, right? So that's another way.
Okay.
Then
Go
I want to
ahead.
ask a question. So the other one
Yeah.
is crowdfunding. This is a great one, right? Overseas, you have people building hotels and building real estate projects, you know, as a crowd, right? So I as an individual can initiate this investment, do all the business plans, announce it, and then invite people to invest, right? And so when I announce it on radio or TV, different people will start calling me and investing in the business, right? Some will say I'll put 10 million, some will say 20 million here, 15 million here. So as a crowd, we come together and fund a business. So if you have there are some websites that do some help with this stuff, like GoFundMe and different other websites, right? Where you can announce, I've forgotten the other very popular one. You announce your business idea there, and people can just come together and pitch in, and, you know, put in, you know, funds here, funds there. Before you know it, you have money to do that business. And of course, at the end of the day, they'll be getting return on investment, right? Because nobody will give you free funds, right? It's usually, apart from the grants, businesses are funded on the basis of what, you know, the investor can get in return, right?
Okay. All right. I've got a question that I want to ask.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a business loan option, I know they have different requirements. So what are the necessary, you know, the important requirements, the factors
loans.
that one should look out for, yes, when going for a business loan?
It depends on where you're applying for. You're applying to get the loan. If you're applying to the bank, the requirements are different, and I just stated those, right?
Yeah.
If they're angel investors, they're usually a business plan. Angel investors or venture capitalists, you know, it's usually a business plan and also an ability to explain your business, right? If you hear me talk about any business idea, you know, you'll sense the excitement. I'll draw you in, you know. It's a communication skill, actually. I'll draw you in, get you to see my vision, you know, and then eventually give you an explanation of the financials and get you to see that actually if you put money here, you're going to get a return on investment. So you have to have the ability to draw up a business plan or pay somebody to draw up that business plan and then effectively and efficiently present it to your potential investors. So if you'll allow me to run down and then you can ask more questions.
All right.
Yeah, so you have business competitions, you know. But, you know, a lot of times you hear brands announce a business competition.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, we're running this business competition. Write your business plans and bring it in. We'll judge them. Whoever has the best business idea will get 5 million, you know, to invest in their business, right? Or some will say, come and cook. We're going to taste all the foods. If you cook the best food, we're going to give you money to open up a restaurant or something like that. So you hear these announcements all the time. You have to have your ears open. You know, when you get wind of a competition like that, you enter, right? Go there with the best of, you know, your best of your best, your best ability, your best business idea, and go present it. If you win, you can get some money, you know, to set up a business. Then the other one is partnership and joint ventures. Now, this is also a very good one. All three of us in this room right now can decide that we want to build a hotel, right? And, you know, we'll say we could be business owners, CEOs of our different companies, and we'll say, okay, come, let's go do this. Hotels are in vogue now. They're very profitable. Okay, let's go build a hotel together. So you bring 15 million, I bring 15 million, and he brings 15 million. Or you bring 20 million, he brings 30, and I bring 80. At the end of the day, we share the business according to equity investments. The amount you bring will
That
now
will
become
determine what you take
what
out.
you get, or, the share that you get from the business. So that's also a good one. Then you have microfinance institutions. Consider microfinance institutions that specialize in providing financial services to small businesses and entrepreneurs, right? Microfinance always give funding to small business, petty traders, small business women. I've seen them give actually hundreds of millions to some, big business people, right? So microfinances, finance companies usually have money to invest, right? And they're not as their processes are not as complicated as the commercial banks, right? So you might.
What about their interest rates? Is there any interesting difference?
Yes. A lot of times theirs is also better.
Okay.
Than the commercial banks, right? Because a lot of times the commercial banks will give you loans at 30 plus percent, right? Microfinance banks, I don't think they give up to 30%, right? Because they're micro, right? And they deal with the communities. They're grassroots, oriented. Now, so you have family and friends, right? That's another good way. Everybody who's a good person, have family who believe in them, right? If you're disciplined, if you're hardworking, if you have skill, you have gifts, there are family members who love you and believe in you. And so when you have a good idea and you pitch it to them, a lot of times you'll find wealthy family members who are willing to give you money to go start a business. So family and friends are a good option if you're not looking for a lot of money. Yeah, but if you're family to Dangote, it doesn't matter how much money you're looking for. Dangote could call a few friends and say, hey, my nephew has this business plan. I think it's a great business plan. He could call Otedola and call Jim Ovia and all of this people and say, okay, let's pitch in and invest in this business. And then there you go. You have billions from family and friends. But if your family and friends are not as wealthy as those people, you might want to, just stick to whatever you can get. Then private equity firms can also finance people. On account of time, I want to stop here. So you might want to explore private equity firms that invest in businesses in exchange for equity, often targeting companies with growth potential. So these are 10 ways, and there are more, but these are the basic 10 ways that you can actually get funding for your business. And if you have a great business plan, why not give this a shot?
Okay, with those 10 ways listed out, if you are a business owner out there having issues with funding your business, or you are yet to get into business, you shouldn't tell me that you don't know how to go about it right now. So
Yeah.
there are up to 10, more than 10. So just go explore one and fund your business. This is still Urban Marketplace, and today we discussed how to fund your business here in Nigeria.